After decades of hiding his suffering, relief for Gerard MacDonald as he finally shared his story.
I've waited 42 years for this day, to tell my story and to be believed.
Inside the hearing, Mr MacDonald struggled to relive the trauma. An altar boy at St Joseph's in the Newcastle suburb of Merriweather in the 70s, he was abused for almost a year by Father Vincent Ryan, who would regularly perform oral sex on him in his car.
After every other altar boy practice in 1975, before dropping me home, Father Ryan would sexually abuse me. Every single time. I was 10 years old. I had older parents. Nobody spoke about sex. I don't know if what was happening was right or wrong, but I knew I didn't like it.
Mr MacDonald says on one occasion, Father Ryan forced the altar boys to attempt to have sex with each other before trying to penetrate him.
He became intense, focused, and very, very scary. It was like Jekyll and Hyde. I came to dread him taking his glasses off.
A St Joseph's volunteer also claims her boys, one just 6 years old, were abused by Father Ryan in 1974, but the priest denied the allegations when confronted by the school.
I thought to myself, what can I do? It is the word of two little boys against that of a Catholic priest. Catholic priests in 1974 were held in the highest esteem.
Father Ryan was relocated from St Joseph's in 1975 before he returned to the region a year later, where he continued as a priest and engaged in serious abuse. He served 14 years in jail for sexual assaults, released in 2010, and was this year convicted of further assault charges. Mr MacDonald has post-traumatic stress and says at one point he wished he killed Father Ryan.
The damage that bastard's done to my life, my family, my friends, and to everybody else. I feel guilty that I didn't do it, and he went on to abuse other boys.
The Royal Commission received 158 claims of child sexual abuse in the Maitland and Newcastle diocese, involving 31 perpetrators, almost a third coming from St Pius. Over the next week, 19 witnesses will give evidence, including other survivors, parents and teachers. Also scheduled to give evidence, the current bishop, who says the history of abuse cannot be ignored.
And reporter Omar Dabbagh joins us now live from Newcastle. Omar, we heard some incredibly heartbreaking testimony today, but what can we expect next from the Royal Commission?
Well, Janice, tomorrow we'll likely hear of further alleged abuse by Father Ryan, with many victims still scheduled to speak. The former bishop of the Newcastle Maitland diocese and the current head will also appear to face some stiff questions on the damning history of abuse in the region. Now, over the next week, we'll also likely hear more about those 3 local Marist teachers who have all been charged with dozens of historical sexual assault counts. Now, the Catholic diocese has paid some of the 150 plus victims nearly $26 million in compensation. But Janice, some of the victims and their families say that's simply not good enough.
Omar, thank you. That's Omar Dabbagh joining us live there from Newcastle.